Hey everybody, Heather here. So today I thought we could color this super cute CC Designs image by Sweet November. She's called Gertie, and there's a whole bunch of these cute girls in this stamp line, and I will try to work through the rest that I have in my color box so we can get those all finished up. I'm going to put a list and the links to the supplies used down in the description box. That seemed to work out pretty good last time. And I've already stamped my image on Nina 80-pound solar white cardstock with Memento Tuxedo Black ink. So let's color. So I'm going to start out by outlining my image, and I don't do anything spectacular for that. I'm just going to take my C0 pen and I'm going to go all the way around my girl. So I'm going to start right here where her shoe hits her leg, because I'm going to put some ground there and it won't matter. You could go all the way around too if you wanted, because once I put the dirt down you won't notice that that line's there. So I'm going to go all the way around her body and back down to the other side. And just give it a little bit of shadow so she looks like she's popping off of the page. Oh, better go around that hair a little bit. And we're going to go right back down the side of her skirt and back down here to the bottom of her leg, like that. So next, let's work on this ground down here, and for that I'm going to use E43, 42, and 41. I'm going to start with my E43, and let's just do just underneath of her shoes, and then kind of pull up just a little bit up here to where her shoe curves up, and flick it out there towards the end a little bit. Then I'm going to go with E42, and I want to go over the top of that last color just a little bit, and I'm going to pull out. Same all the way across the bottom here. And I want to go over the edges of this, soften that up just a little bit. And then last I'm going to use E41, and I want it to go up a little bit past her shoe where I left off with my C0 back here, so I'm going to go ahead and go right over the top of that. And brush along this edge. Same with this side. And then I like to go back after I've done that and take my darkest one, which was E43, and just put a little bit more underneath of her, where her shoes are. So next, let's move on to her skin, and for that I'm going to use E11, E21, E00, and E000. And let's go in a little closer here. I'm going to start down here on her foot, and I'm going to start with E11, and I'm just going to give it a little bit of color underneath of her skirt, and then down the inside of both of her little legs. And then I'm going to grab E21, and I want to brush just a little bit more color on there, but I want to touch the edge of my E11 and feather that edge just a little bit more. And now I'm going to grab E00. Same thing, I want to feather the edge of that E21. I'm leaving just a little bit of white there on the edge for my E000. Okay, and then I'm going to go back and redo it. So I'm going to take my E11, go right across the top, down the inside of her legs, E21, brush that down a little bit more, soften that edge just a little bit. It was a little too stark for me. I want her to have a little bit of darker skin tone today because she's out doing some gardening, even though I have rain where I live. She's out enjoying the sunshine. And then E000 to finish that off. Like that. And next next, let's go up here and do our hands. So again, I'm going to grab E11. And let's do just a little tiny dab on the bottom of her fingers here. And some of these fingers, you are not going to get all the colors on there because they are really small. And then I'm going to add, there she's got a little bit of her hand showing right over here on the side. And then let's go ahead and do a little bit right here on the underside of her arm, right there. And E21, I'm going to fill in these two bottom fingers, both sides, because they're pretty dinky. And then let's add a little bit to each of these fingers and to her arm, because we want to soften that line. And then E000, or nope, sorry, this is E00. And just a little bit more. Still leave a little bit of white for our last color. Oh, I'm going to fill the rest of this side in. I wasn't have some room anymore. And then I'm going to take my E000 now and fill that all the way in. And I tend to also go just brush over the entire area with my last color, just to soften it. Okay, those are looking good. So let's go up here and do her neck. So again, I'm going to grab my E11 first, and I'm going to kind of make this side of her body a little bit lighter this time so that it looks like her hat's kind of tipped down just a little bit on this side. So I'm going to make the sun kind of more shiny over here. So I'm going to take E11 and go underneath of her neck and down this side of her body, and then E21 to soften it. E00. And then E000 to fill that in. And again, I'm going to go over it one more time just to darken it up a little bit. So I've grabbed E11. E21. Brush out just a little bit further this time. E00. And then E000. Okay, I'm liking that. So let's go up here and do her face. So again, I'm going to grab E11 first. I'm going to draw right underneath of her hat. I'm going to do just a little tiny line on this side. And over here, I'm going to make my line a little bit thicker because remember her face, I want it's kind of tipped that way. So it's going to be darker over here. And then I want to give her a little bit of a nose definition. So I'm going to put my nose definition on this side. Just like that. And then I'm going to grab E21 and I want to soften that line. So I'm going to go ahead and brush a little bit on this side. And again, I don't want to pull too much over here because it's going to be sunnier over there. We're going to go down this side. And I'm going to end up going back over it, so I'm not worried if the line is not blended perfectly. Let's go up the side of her nose. And then E00. Same thing, we're going to pull a little bit of this color, work our way along that line, and feather that stroke in. And I'm going to fill in the entire side on this side of her nose, because I want this side of her face to be a little bit shinier. Now E000 to fill that all the way in. And again, mine's looking blotchy. That's fine because I'm not done playing with it. I've got a few lines there showing. So now I'm going to go ahead and add some cheeks. So I've grabbed R20, and I'm going to use R20 and R30. So let's start with R20, and let's give her some rosy cheeks. Like that. And then I'm going to take R30 and just lightly go over the edge. And then I want to darken her face up again, so I'm going to grab E11. I'm going to go ahead and go right underneath of her hat with a small line. And down this side. I'm going to tip her a little bit so I can brush my brush a little sideways here. And then I'm going to use my feather stroke, kind of like a check mark, along this side of her face. And then go ahead and do this little nose spot again. And then I'm going to take E21 and brush right over the top of that E11. Not so much on that side. And then again, we want to brush right up the side of that little crease we made. And then E00. And I filled in this entire side. And then I'm going to go over here and do up to her eye. And then E00 to fill it in. And remember, I try to go over the whole thing with my last color. And it's faded our cheeks a bit, so I'm going to take my R20 again and rosy those up again like that. And then for her, I also gave her just a little bit of some lips. So underneath this little, her bottom there, and she's got this little line, I just took my R20 and I just drew a little half circle there. And then I kind of gave it a couple little dips here at the top. I think I'll bring this bottom out a little bit. So that gave her a little bit of lips there. Next, let's do her hair, and for that we're going to use E19, 15, and 13. I'm going to start with my E19. And let's give a little bit right underneath of her hat rim. And then kind of where her little curls right here dip back in, I'm going to brush a little bit of color on like that and do the underside of this curl a little bit. Same with this one, it's kind of dipping back in right here. So I'm going to give a little bit of color there. And then let's do into this and maybe a little bit at the bottom right here. Then I'm going to go with E15 and I want to lighten that little line there. So I'm going to put my pin down on top of the E19 and we're going to brush away from it. Like this, both sides. Bring this down a little bit, like that. And then I'm going to take E13 to fill it in. And I forgot she has this little bun on the back of her head, so I'm going to go with my E19 and do just a little bit towards her neck. And then E15, leave just a little bit there on the edge for my E13. And then fill that in with my E13. And that's all there was for her hair. Next, let's work on the leaves and the flower dirt, the dirt in the pot here. So for the leaves, I'm going to use G99 and G82. I'm going to take my G99 first, and I'm going to go right up the stem. And then brush just a little bit on each side. Same for this side, do the stem, and then give each side a little brush. And then I'm going to go with G82 to fill it in. So touch down on top of your 99, and just brush clear up to the top. That's all I did for the leaves. And then for the dirt, I'm going to use E44, 43, and 42. I'm going to start with E44. I'm going to bring that up to this first little curve, and then I'm going to bring the dirt right next to the edge of the pot just a little bit. And then I'm going to take E43, and bring it up a little bit more, fill in this edge, and then fill in that whole area with E42. Next, let's do the flower pot, and for that we're going to use BG 34, 32, and 11. I'm going to start with BG 34. And remember, I want the sun to be coming from over this way, so I'm going to make this side of my pot darker. So I'm going to go ahead also and do right here on the inside by the dirt, I'm going to add a little bit of color there at the bottom. And then I'm going to turn my pot a little bit so I can flick better. I'm going to take my BG34. I'm just going to do this edge of the pot. And then each of these little lines that she's got on there, I'm going to go down this side, like that. And then I'm going to take BG32. Now I'm going to fill in the back of this pot right here. Okay. And then I want to brush my lines up a little bit more. And then I want to go ahead and brush each one of these just to soften the edge. And then I'm going to take BG11, I'm going to fill in this top of the pot rim and fill in the rest of this area. I'm going to brush this way so I don't brush her dress. Even though BG11 would be easy to remove, it's not very dark. Okay, and then I went ahead and did the whole thing again, so BG34. And go down those lines. BG32. And fill it in with BG11. Cute. Let's go do some of the reds now. So let's start down here at her foot. So for our reds, we're going to use R17, 14, and 12. I'm going to start with R17. And let's go down the inside of our shoe and just a tiny dab along the bottom. Same for this side, inside our shoe, and a little bit along the bottom. And then R14. We're going to fill that in. I'm going to leave a little bit of white over here on the top of her shoe. And for that, I'm going to use R12. I'm just going to fill that in. And those are dinky shoes, so that's all there is to it for that. And then next, let's go up here and we'll go ahead and do the hat band. So again, I'm going to take R17 to start, and I want this side to be darkest, so I'm just going to brush just a little bit of that. I'm going to take R14, let's pull it over here a little bit more, and then R12 to fill that in. Okay, easy peasy. So now let's do her sleeves on her dress. So again, R17 to start. And let's start with this one here. I'm going to brush a little bit of this on the bottom where it kind of rolls over. Then I want it to look a little bit darker here so it looks like it's rolling over. And same for this side. Let's go ahead. And she's got a little cuff there, so try not to color that. And then let's do right along the edge here so it looks like it's rolling. And then I'm going to take R14. I'm going to bring this. Let's connect the dots there. And I want to leave a little bit of white there for a shiny spot. About like that. That looks good. Yeah, I'll do the same thing over here. Turn my girl a little bit. And we're going to go up the inside of this sleeve. Okay, we want to fill it in with our R12. Okay, and I don't like how that blended very well, so I'm going to take my R14 again. Because R12 is a pretty good jump. So I'm going to get it wet with my R14. I'm going to take my R12 and brush over that again. There, I like that better. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing over here, so I'm going to take my R14, Get my paper wet again. And then take the R12 and brush over it. Okay, I like that. Okay, so now let's go down here and do this bottom part of her skirt. Okay, so I'm going to start with my R17 on this side. I'm going to go over it a couple times, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm not too worried about those lines. And then R12. Okay, then we'll go back to R17. And I want to bring this out a little bit more. So let's go ahead. I just was trying not to go outside the lines there. Okay, so now R14. And I've brought my color out here to the end where my R14 stopped last time. Let's bring our R14 out here to the end of this pink. And then R12. And let's go ahead and fill in over here. And now I'm going to grab R14 again, and let's brush a little bit more. And I think I'll go right underneath of her skirt a little bit here too, because that's going to cast a little bit of shadow. Let's fill this in down here. It's like a little blotchy right here too. Okay, and then R12. Now if it's not blending the way you want, you can grab your R14. I'm going to tip to tip it. So I've grabbed my R14 and I've got my R12. And I'm going to pick up a little bit of my R14 on my R12. And I'm going to go ahead and just rub up here at the top of my pen because there's a whole bunch of ink up there. And pick up some of that crusty ink that's up there and clean my pen up a little bit. And then I'm going to use that ink to feather that line. Okay, so I'm going to pick up a little bit more. And feather that line. Okay, and I'm liking that, so I'm going to leave it just like that. Next, let's go up here and work on her hat. And I'm going to start on the underside of her hat. And for that, I'm going to use E43, 42, and 41. And so I'm going to start with E43. And I'm going to color in this little patch down here underneath of her hair. And then let's bring this color down along the side of her hair and over towards the brim of her hat. There's a little line there. We're going to do the same thing on this side. Do that little line and then come down next to her hair. And this has got a little bit more space, so I'm going to leave some of that white for the next color. So now we're going to go with E42. And I'm going to fill this section in. And then I'm going to brush a little bit of this. Like that. Leave a little bit of space for my light color, which is E41. Brush that all together. Okay, I like how that looks. I'm going to leave that. So next, let's start up here at the top of her hat. So for her hat, the tops, I'm going to use E43, 42, 41, 50, and then Y11. So let's start with E43, and let's add a little bit of color on this side of her hat. And then again on this side, I want to pull some color up. And then over here, remember I want it to be a little bit shinier, so I'm not going to put as much. Like that. Let's try that. And then E42. E41. E50 to fill it in. And then I took my Y11 to give it a yellow cast and just brush right over the entire thing. Like that. Okay, so now let's go down and work on her bodice and these cuffs. So again, I've grabbed E43 to start. And let's go right down the edge of her sleeve with our 43, and then we're going to do the bottom of the cuffs, and then 42. Add a little bit more color to the bodice. And the sleeves. E41. This side's run out of room, so I'm just going to fill it in. And then E50 to fill that in. And then Y11 to add the yellow. Alright, so next we're going to do her skirt, her apron skirt down here. And I thought it would be really fun to add some wrinkles or some lines in there. So here's the finished card, and see I've added a little kind of some wrinkles in there to give it some definition. So that's what we're going to do now. So just so I can see kind of where I want my wrinkles to be, I'm going to take E50, which is my lightest color, and I'm going to draw some in so that I don't have to worry about where they are. So I'm going to make my first wrinkle be in between the last and the second finger. So I'm just going to kind of curve it down. So I got kind of an idea of, you know, where I want my wrinkle to be. Let's zoom in a little bit more so you can see a little bit right there. Okay, same thing. So I'm going to have 4 wrinkles at the top. So let's do another one right here. And remember, these are going to be covered up, so you don't have to worry that if they're not perfect. Okay, and let's do one over here. And let's give her a finger on this side one. Okay, so that's 4. And let's do some down here at the bottom. So let's do, I kind of want it to go up in between so I don't touch it. So let's do right here. And right here looks like a good spot. And before this butterfly. Okay, so that kind of gives me a starting place of, and not have to worry about where my wrinkles are going to be. So now I'm just going to go for it. So I've got E43 is what I'm going to start with. And I'm just going to go right over the top of those wrinkles. I'm just going to draw them right back on. only with this dark color. I don't have to stress over it as much because I already drew them in as a kind of a guesstimate there with that light color. Okay, like this. And this is just my first time through, so I'm not worried that they're not perfect. Okay, so then I'm going to go with E43, and let's go ahead and add a little bit of this up here underneath this, like so, and let's go right over the top of that wrinkle. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and pull that all the way down, all the way across, because she's going to have a shadow right there. And then let's soften this wrinkle. Bring that down. Okay. And just work my way across like that and kind of soften them up just a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to go with E40. Oh, sorry, E41. We want to soften that line a little bit more. Right, work our way right across. Okay, and then E50. And work our way back across. So before I go to the next step, I noticed that when I was coloring with E42 that it was looking a little, it was kind of dragging and looking crusty. So let me zoom in here. And I don't know if you can see it, but right here, look how it's kind of, the ink's kind of separating and it's just looking kind of gross. That's my opinion of that. But my ink nib, and I don't think you can see it on here, but on my pen, it looks like it's got, on the nib, it looks like it's got like a waxy buildup on there. And I've had these pens for a while, so what's happened is I need to change the nib. So I'm going to go do that, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to finish coloring the rest of her skirt. Okay, so I'm back. So I went ahead and I changed the nib in my pen, and it's a completely different look. The whole end of the pen is like a lighter brown than it was before, so I know it needed changed. It was pretty bad. When I went to pull the nib out of the end of the pen, it just fell apart. So it was time for a replacement. So let's continue on with our girl's skirt. So again, I'm going to start with my E43, and so I want to put those dark lines back in. So let's go up here. And E43 is getting close to needing a changing too, I can tell. We're just going to add some of those stripes. And for this one at the bottom, I kind of curved it over a little bit so that it isn't just a straight line. It kind of whoops up in a little swoop. Okay, like that. Okay, and then I'm going to go with E42. Oh yes, that's much nicer. And I'm going to try to bring my line down past my last E43. Let's do these. And this time around, I'm only going to go up the inside, this side of the thing. I'm going to leave this side over here dark. And then E41. And let's soften that line. And again, I just want to go up on this side of my swoop. And soften that just a little bit. And then E50 to fill it in. I'm just going to go ahead and go all the way down the bottom. And then let's go up from the top, bottom down here. Okay, liking that. So now to add my yellow in, I took my Y11 and I didn't fill in the whole section. I just started up here at the top and kind of went like I did before over the top of some of these little swirls or my wrinkles. And worked my way down like that. And same for these. I just kind of went over my little wrinkle area. Like that, and then I left the rest the brown color. If you hate that, you can always just color it all the way in. I was just trying something new, and so I didn't color it all in. And this is E50. I'm going to go ahead and brush just the edges of that yellow just a little bit, just to soften them just a little bit. They're not quite so rough. Like so. That's her skirt. And then she's got this cute little butterfly over here. I'm going to do his wings with B000. And then after I got done with them, I gave him some stickles. Like so. And then I also, up here, and for her cheeks, I added some Sharpie white paint pen. So I'm going to shake that up. And you want to do that with the lid on. And then I'm just going to give her cheeks a couple of dots. Like that. But that is our cute CC Designs Gertie image. And here is the finished card again. Zoom out a little bit more. Isn't she cute? And this is a My Favorite Things Botanical Beauties die, which is on sale in the store until Saturday, which is January 11th, 2014, 25% off, coupon code New Year, small letters, if you want to run over and grab some of those. And then I use another die, which is called Washi tape, and I don't have that currently in the store, but I put all these pieces out. And then it doesn't, the card kit does not come with the sentiment, but you can buy that separate in the store, and I'll again put a link to that down in the description box. But I hope you had fun coloring with me today, and I hope it was, you try out some of these little wrinkles and see how it goes. It was kind of stressful at first, but after I'm kind of a wing it kind of girl, so I just went for it and thought it was fine. Turned out awesome. So give it a try, and if you have a question, leave me a comment down in the box. I'd be happy to answer any questions, and we'll see you next time. Have a great day. Bye. Thank you.